Um, so the second topic of today is how to improve the partnership between private and public sector. I think in a way we saw already some examples of this, but I'm sure that these two talks from this panel will be even more deep into informing us about this. So the first, it's about management efficiency of the incubation system and public-private partnership. The case of the Tuscany region by Albino Caporali, which is you, and
my name is Besnik, but
I'll
translate Albino.
Translate Albino. Okay. So, go for it. You can speak to that microphone.
To this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
To both of them.
Okay.
Buongiorno, mi scuso per non parlare, ma il mio inglese è terrificante, quindi ve lo evito. Avete capito? Non c'è bisogno di tradurlo. No problem. Si quiere se puede hablar en español, castellano, o francese, o italiano, inglese è terrificante. Fiorentino ci pensa Besnik, che è albanese.
Diciamo in streaming,
Siamo un paese inclusivo noi. Allora, io vi racconterò la storia di una politica della regione toscana sul tema dell'incubazione di imprese, dell'incubatore di imprese negli ultimi 25 anni. Prego.
Yeah.
Who didn't get it? Who didn't?
Okay.
Vai. Fai questa semplice.
Asking, okay? It's okay.
Albino will speak us about the history of the incubation process in Tuscany in the last 25 years.
Questa politica è iniziata nella seconda metà degli anni 90, quindi del secolo scorso, e si è sviluppata sostanzialmente nella prima fase nel supportare la realizzazione infrastrutturale degli incubatori, cioè l'immobile, la parte fisica degli incubatori.
The presence of the business incubators in Tuscany started in the middle of the 90s, that's to say in the last century, and it has expanded and consolidated in the recent years, but it has been mostly concentrated in the building of the infrastructures, so the buildings, let's say.
Le caratteristiche di queste strutture, chi era il soggetto che ha promosso l'iniziativa di incubazione, la caratteristica un po' diversa da quella degli altri paesi che oggi sono è che al 90% sono gli enti locali, il comune, la provincia, c'è solo un caso dell'università, l'università è sostanzialmente assente da questa politica e solamente negli ultimi anni ci sono alcuni soggetti privati, solamente 2, di cui uno particolare che è un incubatore sociale realizzato e gestito da una Onlus, cioè una società no profit che opera nel cosiddetto terzo settore, nell'economia sociale.
Differently from other experiences in other countries, incubators in Tuscany has been built up by public bodies. Let's say by the region, by the provinces, by the municipalities. We have the case of, out of this experience, out of the public bodies, we have the case of the incubator of the University of Florence, and this is the only university business incubator in Tuscany. The case of the Chamber of Commerce of Lucca, there is a city in Tuscany that has built an incubator, and as well a non-profit organization, so from the third sector, that has built a social incubator in the east of Tuscany.
Poi nel tempo si sono evolute le forme infrastrutturali in cui c'è, al di là del termine incubatore, perché anche nelle relazioni di stamattina credo che dobbiamo arrivare, almeno noi, al superamento del concetto tradizionale di incubatore. Si sono sviluppate altre aree, altri spazi, altri modi per aiutare la creazione di impresa. Oltre agli incubatori ci sono i cosiddetti spazi per coworking, che è una cosa recente, e una cosa che noi abbiamo chiamato startup house, cioè spazi in cui i comuni mettono a disposizione delle piccole e medie imprese giovani semplicemente lo spazio fisico con delle locazioni agevolate, cioè per aiutare, diciamo, la creazione di impresa solo per la dimensione fisica.
We have to go beyond the concept of the traditional business incubator, and in Tuscany we have started also to build other spaces for the business to support business, like the co-working spaces or the startup house, which is another typology of support of businesses more in the traditional sectors like tourism or trade or crafts.
Quindi siamo arrivati a fare una vera e propria classificazione formale di questi spazi secondo la tipologia delle imprese ospitate, se erano imprese innovative o imprese dei settori tradizionali, la tipologia dei servizi che venivano erogati alle imprese ospitate e anche la dimensione degli spazi messi a disposizione.
So we have created a typology in relation to the types of business hosted, so in the innovative sectors or in the traditional sectors, the type of services provided and the space, the dimension of the space.
Una delle caratteristiche della nostra esperienza è che la gran parte degli incubatori, noi abbiamo 11 incubatori di imprese e un 12° in fase di realizzazione, sono localizzati all'interno di parchi scientifici e tecnologici. Sono pochi i casi di spazi dedicati esclusivamente all'incubazione di impresa.
Okay, we have 11 incubators in Tuscany, and one more is coming, and most of them are located in technological parks. There are not incubators that live outside technological parks.
Quindi noi possiamo avere nello stesso spazio, a prescindere se lo chiamiamo polo tecnologico, parco, un incubatore di impresa, laboratori tecnologici di università, spazi per co-working, semplicemente spazi di insediamento di imprese strutturate, imprese che hanno superato la fase dello start-up. Quindi c'è, come dire, una sorta di... ultimamente si stanno sviluppando spazi per Fab Lab, quindi sono spazi a destinazione molto, diciamo, eterogenea.
Yeah, inside the technological parks we have not only the incubators, but we have also the co-working spaces, or even in some cases the Fab Labs that are being built there. So there are different types of services in these structures.
La gestione. Mediamente, tranne alcune eccezioni, la gestione di questi spazi viene effettuata da società o direttamente da enti pubblici. Tranne il caso di questo incubatore sociale, la presenza pubblica c'è sempre nella fase di gestione degli spazi.
The public presence is everywhere in the management of the of the business incubators, except the case of the incubators managed by the social enterprise. So the public bodies have always not only supported financially the building of the infrastructures, but are involved also in the management of the incubators.
La seconda fase invece di politiche pubbliche a sostegno di questa attività si è sviluppata nel 2011-2013, in cui la Regione ha finanziato i soggetti che gestivano l'incubatore, la funzione di incubazione. Naturalmente era un finanziamento condizionato a 3 elementi: un'intensità di aiuto decrescente, e questo ce lo impone la Commissione europea, quindi la fase di start-up, la presenza dei servizi che noi abbiamo codificato. Noi abbiamo un catalogo di servizi, quindi quel tipo di servizi viene riconosciuto come attività. Terzo, abbiamo fatto un contratto di performance, Cioè ogni gestore di incubatore deve rispettare alcune performance. Questa è un'esperienza che noi abbiamo visto in Francia, in Lussemburgo, cioè una parte del finanziamento è legato al raggiungimento di alcuni obiettivi, numero di imprese incubate, numero di imprese che si fanno uscire dall'incubatore o numero di imprese di servizi erogati.
The regional support has evolved into two, let's say, two different modalities over the time. In the period from 2011 and 2013, subsidies were granted to the organizations managing the incubators that were approved, let's say, as innovation poles, and this coherently with the state aid rules for the provision of business services. We have introduced three conditionalities. First of all, a decreasing aid intensity, the provision of services which was encoded in a catalog, and the funding which was constrained to the achievement of some results. We have seen in the experiences in France and Luxembourg that this conditionality has been applied. So let's say the number of enterprises incubated, or the number of enterprises who leave the incubator after the incubation phase.
Questa forma di finanziamento ha provato a introdurre delle condizioni di mercato nella gestione pubblica, ma è risultata non sempre positiva. Perché? Perché il core business del gestore, come alcuni di voi conoscono meglio di me, non è tanto l'elemento real estate, ma l'elemento della qualità del servizio che viene erogato, dove c'è il valore aggiunto. Ed è emerso la debolezza strutturale dei gestori, i quali non avevano all'interno della propria struttura le competenze sui servizi qualificati. Quindi il gestore diventava un intermediario rispetto ai servizi qualificati.
The main point of weakness that has emerged from this experience has been that the organizations managing the incubators have been concentrated more in the management of the real estate rather than in the provision of let's say professional services or qualified services. So they have accentuated, the organizations managing incubators have accentuated their core business in managing the real estate, and not they have not focused on the provision of qualified services.
A questo punto siamo passati alla terza fase, diciamo, delle politiche regionali, in cui abbiamo finanziato direttamente l'impresa all'interno dell'incubatore. In questo modo l'impresa è libera di individuare sul mercato quali sono i servizi di cui ha bisogno, quindi mette in concorrenza il mercato con il gestore dell'incubatore. Se il gestore dell'incubatore è bravo, sa intermediare e quindi riduce le asimmetrie informative, o è in grado di produrre servizi, riesce a ottenere un ricavo significativo. Altrimenti rimane semplicemente, quindi abbiamo tradotto, un amministratore di un condominio, cioè amministratore di un immobile.
Yeah, the third phase has evolved in the aid that has been reoriented towards the support for startups, directly to the startups within the business incubators. So it's now the startup that assess whether the incubator is able to provide qualified services. Otherwise, the startup can go outside the incubator to acquire the qualified services. In this case, we have tried to constrain the incubators to not act only as administrators of a building, but also to specialize in the provision of qualified services.
Dalle analisi che abbiamo fatto, ne abbiamo fatte tantissime, sono 5 gli elementi di criticità che noi abbiamo registrato in questa esperienza, superata la fase appunto di costruzione e di realizzazione. Un eccesso di concentrazione delle attività del gestore dell'incubatore nel tema della componente immobiliare, real estate, e una scarsa attenzione alla fornitura di servizi, diretta o mediata, perché il gestore di un incubatore può essere semplicemente un broker di servizi che va a trovarli nel mercato dei servizi. Facciamo una. Il secondo, l'assenza di un management specializzato sul trasferimento tecnologico. Fare trasferimento tecnologico è un mestiere, è una specializzazione. Io non conosco molti di voi, ma questo è un mestiere che difficilmente si riesce a fare, anche le università hanno difficoltà a fare trasferimento tecnologico, perché bisogna conoscere le competenze manageriali, competenze tecnologiche e competenze di mercato, ed è una professionalità assolutamente elevata da trovare. Vai.
So we have, after a lot of analysis we have done in this domain, we have, let's say, found 5 criticalities. Albino spoke about 2 of them, so I'm translating now 2 of them. The first one is about the excessive concentration of the real estate component in the activities of the business incubators or the organizations managing the incubators, and with a little attention to the supply of technological or advanced services. Lack of specialized management on technology transfer issues, which is a real, criticality in our system, because even for universities, this is difficult in Tuscany, and Albino is saying that this is a specialization that has to be present in our incubators.
Vi è una limitata capacità di azione di promozione delle imprese incubate, promozione commerciale e promozione anche produttiva, cioè nel mondo della produzione, trovare clienti, perché l'impresa deve stare, dopo che ha realizzato, deve andare sul mercato, deve fatturare, insomma. L'altra ha anche una limitata capacità di gestori dei distretti di operare in condizioni di mercato, quindi di concorrenza. Quando si esce da una gestione protetta dal pubblico, finanziata dal pubblico, andare sul mercato diventa uno shock manageriale, diciamo.
Yeah, other 2 criticalities has to do with the limited capacity to promote the startups, both by a productive or commercial point of view. So it's to find the customers. No, once you are out of the incubator, you have to find the customers, and this is not easy for Tuscan startups. And also a limited capacity to operate on the market once you leave the protection of the public funding. So there is a limited capacity to operate on the market.
Da ultimo, un fattore congiunturale, diciamo, la crisi della finanza pubblica, nel senso che gli enti pubblici che hanno promosso questo tipo di attività ormai da 10 anni hanno uno stress fiscale, cioè hanno ridotte capacità di poter finanziare il gestore di questo tipo di attività, e quindi non c'è più il finanziamento pubblico diretto al gestore.
Yeah, and the crisis of the public finance, as you know, as a result of the financial crisis in the last 10 years, has reduced the funds available to incubation.
Allora, qual è la riflessione che stiamo facendo e che stiamo provando ora, proprio in questi giorni, a provare a fare? Qual è il tipo di politiche? È evidente che c'è necessità di un partenariato pubblico-privato. Cioè, come si diceva prima, questa è un'attività che in qualche modo deve avere una fase e una componente di business molto forte, perché altrimenti l'attività di incubazione è inefficiente. Qual è il punto? Che il gestore scatta un meccanismo, come dire, di captive, perché il business del gestore è cercare di far pagare all'impresa quanto più possibile il servizio. E questo è un business se la qualità del servizio è scarsa, e questo è un po' il punto di rottura su cui si sta ragionando.
So, which kind of policies should a public body do at this stage? Of course, we have we cannot I say no, we have to make cooperation between public and private a reality, but we have to avoid, as we said, the criticalities that emerged in our experience. First of all, the captive character of the organizations managing the incubators, and the fact that their core business was to provide services and to be paid for the services which were not of good quality.
Due sono le riflessioni che stiamo facendo, anche alla luce della presenza sul mercato ormai nazionale di operatori privati. Alcuni sono quotati in borsa, che fanno attività di incubazione di impresa come forma di business. In Italia c'è una grande società, Digital Magics, quotata in borsa, che opera, questo non è nella dichiarazione, che opera sul nostro territorio, a Firenze, a Pisa, dove ci sono l'università, senza avere nessun tipo di interlocuzione col sistema pubblico.
There are also some now private operators also quoted in the stock exchange that are providing services of business incubation. The company is called Digital Magics, without even speaking to the public sector.
Allora, se noi partiamo dall'archetipo dell'incubatore tecnologico, è quello su cui noi abbiamo tutti studiato, lavorato, allora il gestore di questa infrastruttura deve avere alcune competenze specifiche. Uno, conoscere le tecnologie. In una fase in cui la tecnologia, la digitalizzazione è l'elemento di nascita, crescita e sviluppo delle imprese, deve conoscere l'evoluzione tecnologica. Quindi non posso essere né io né la collega del comune. Secondo, avere delle competenze professionali molto spinte, non ci si improvvisa. Bisogna avere rapporti di collaborazione scientifica o di collaborazione col mondo della ricerca. Questi sono i tre elementi di base, le condizioni di base per incominciare a fare questo tipo di lavoro e quindi di politica.
Starting from what in Tuscany we have considered as the archetype of a technological incubator, the attention needs to be shifted towards some characteristics that the organization managing the incubator needs to ensure. First of all, technology requirements. Second, high professional skills. And then a third element is the relations with the research world.
Una riflessione che bisogna fare è se l'incubatore ancora deve aiutare lo startup piuttosto che aiutare il consolidamento dell'impresa. Perché in Italia sostanzialmente creare un'impresa è abbastanza facile. Il tema è passare dalla fase di startup, quindi di produzione del prodotto, alla fase di mercato. Molte delle startup crollano al terzo anno, superata la fase di avvio, quando devono trovare un mercato di riferimento e posizionarsi, tranne i casi eccezionali.
So the reflection we are doing is as a support has to be concentrated in the startup creation phase, which is very easy. Or perhaps it's better to be concentrated in the scaling up of the startups. After the third year, most of the startups fail. So perhaps we have to concentrate our attention on this phase.
Noi confermiamo l'idea originaria che il gestore dell'incubatore deve essere un broker, non deve produrre direttamente servizi. Cioè uno che organizza, mette in connessione l'impresa col sistema dei servizi, perché riuscire a produrre direttamente servizi ha un costo estremamente elevato e competenze che in qualche modo vanno pagate, quindi c'è un problema di sostenibilità finanziaria nel creare all'interno della struttura i servizi qualificati e diversificati.
So we think that the organization managing the business incubator has to act as a tutor, as a broker for innovative startups. And then the incubator is a node of a network that needs to connect startups with scientific and technological skills, with the finance, with the market, and with the public system of incentives.
Quindi l'incubatore è un tutor, il soggetto che gestisce l'incubatore è un tutor che accompagna l'impresa in questa fase, perché l'impresa, la neoimpresa, molte volte ha una domanda molto forte, molto avanzata e non riesce a conoscere qual è l'offerta di servizi. Alcuni sono prossimi, ed è la difficoltà che abbiamo di lavorare col mondo della ricerca, l'università, eccetera. L'altro è il mondo dei servizi che stanno sul mercato, non necessariamente locale. La qualità di un servizio specializzato può stare in qualsiasi parte del mondo e lo si può acquisire. È la conoscenza di dove sono i servizi qualificati.
Yeah, and the business incubator has to be a broker of qualified services that not necessarily are in the local area. There are services in the local area that are those given by universities, and this is easy to be acquired, but not necessarily qualified services are located near the incubator. So we need to go perhaps outside our region or perhaps outside our country to acquire this kind of services.
E qui si arriva alla conclusione: qual è il modello gestionale che può dare sostenibilità a una struttura di questo genere. Alla mia conoscenza, se escludiamo i casi di manuale degli incubatori israeliani, ma sono curioso di conoscere le vostre esperienze, questa è un'attività che non dà ricavi, nel senso che gli operatori di mercato che fanno questo tipo di attività mediamente sono società finanziarie, non sono erogatori di servizi. Digital Magics è una società finanziaria, è società finanziaria, quindi sono società specializzate nell'attività finanziaria, meno sull'accompagnamento, quindi selezionano la parte migliore dell'incubazione, delle società incubate.
Outside the case of Israeli incubators, and I'm curious to know about your experience. The startup activities are not producing revenues. In fact, most of the private bodies, of private companies that provide startup services are financial companies.
Allora, noi ipotizziamo 5 linee di massima su cui un gestore può avere ricavi, quindi può fare il business. La locazione dei locali, quindi il real estate, l'erogazione diretta o intermediata, a seconda delle capacità, dei servizi qualificati, quindi a maggiore valore aggiunto anche finanziario, la transazione vera e propria tra le imprese e il sistema della ricerca, la transazione, ieri il collega dell'Estonia l'ha detto chiaramente, tra le imprese e il sistema della finanza pubblica e finanza privata, e la promozione economica sui mercati. Questi sono 5 livelli su cui un incubatore e un gestore deve lavorare.
In our view, a hypothesis of a real and effective public and private cooperation is based on the following main activities that has to be carried out by a business incubator. Of course, the local lease and basic services, so the real estate, the direct or mediated provision of qualified services, the transactions between businesses and the research system, as well as with the financial system, as our colleague from Estonia was saying yesterday, and the economic promotion to the market.
Allora, è in questo contesto che può scattare il partenariato pubblico-privato. La riflessione finale è questa: Se è una politica pubblica, noi lavoriamo in alcune parti in cui c'è un fallimento di mercato, perché l'operatore privato lavora semplicemente sulla fascia elevata delle imprese. Compito di una politica pubblica e di un investimento pubblico è incrementare il numero delle imprese che riescono a stare sul mercato. Quindi qual è diciamo, il mix? È che il pubblico può farsi carico di quella componente di assistenza a quelle imprese meno dinamiche, ma che senza l'aiuto pubblico uscirebbero dal mercato, quindi chiuderebbero, e accompagnarle alla fascia più elevata. In questo caso il soggetto privato è interessato perché ha abbattimenti di costi sul real estate, sui servizi qualificati, piuttosto che sull'accompagnamento delle imprese più deboli, ma è interessato a vendere i propri servizi all'impresa. Un istituto di credito è interessato ad avere delle imprese socie che poter investire. Un finanziatore è interessato a accompagnare imprese che hanno delle competenze tecnologiche. Un investitore privato è interessato a interloquire con imprese in cui già si è aperto l'interlocuzione tra imprese e sistema della ricerca che, non so da voi, ma in Italia ha dei costi di transazione elevatissimi. Nel momento in cui il pubblico abbatte questi costi di transazione rispetto al privato, il privato può farsi carico della gestione di alcune fasi dell'incubazione e soprattutto ha le competenze professionali che nel pubblico, sempre con rispetto dei colleghi presenti, non ci sono, ma non fanno parte del background del pubblico, nel senso non esiste la figura del divulgatore tecnologico o del gestore piuttosto che dell'animatore tecnologico. Sono nuove professioni che potremo anche immettere nel nostro mercato interno, ma abbiamo dei problemi noi, diciamo, più nazionali da questo punto di vista. Questo è un po' il ragionamento su cui stiamo lavorando. Sullo sfondo, non l'abbiamo scritto ma lo scriveremo, c'è un tema di massa critica, cioè di numero di imprese su cui lavorare. Un incubatore con 10 imprese o sono imprese altamente innovative, life science, o altrimenti non c'è massa critica economica sostenibile. La somma, chiudo, la somma di tutte le imprese presenti nei nostri incubatori si avvicina complessivamente a circa 150. Non sono tutte imprese di altissimo livello, ma è una massa critica su cui poter pensare di improntare una gestione sostenibile dal punto di vista finanziario e degli obiettivi di politica pubblica poi.
Yeah, I'll try to a little bit to synthesize. So the public intervention in our case must be focused on the lower parts of the business incubation. So we should, let's say, support the business incubation, but perhaps private companies can invest more in the startups when they are ready to scale up. But in the phase of the startup incubation, we see that there is a need still for the public support. And the problem, there are some figures that we are missing in some competencies, some skills, like a kind of technological animator that is necessary as perhaps as a new profession in our region. And also the critical mass, we need a critical mass of startups in our incubation system. At the moment we have around 150 enterprise startups that are incubated in Tuscany. Not all of them are high-tech, but perhaps we need to keep at least this mass and of course increase it.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Tanto vedo. Sì,
Okay,
ma vedo
okay,
le slide.
okay.
Well, good morning. First, I want to give my thanks for the possibility to present our project of aerospace incubator. I apologize for my English, so I'll try to do my best. But if you can't understand me, please stop me and ask. Doesn't matter. My project, the project I am going to present, is a smaller project than the other presented in this meeting. We have only one small incubator in one small part of Spain, that is Seville, and based, filtered in one specific sector, that is aerospace. So we are not presenting philosophies, neither philosophies nor projects linked on how to develop one ecosystem, how to develop startups, or so on. Only I am going to present our specific project. That although it's small, we can think that is strategically important, at least for us. What was the beginning? The beginning, I am from the Chamber of Commerce of Seville, and the beginning was the year 2014. Several years of economical crisis in all the world, of course in Europe, and probably deeply in Andalusia and in Spain. Millions of jobs lost. A lot of companies, big and medium and small companies, disappeared. Lost in the level of sales of a lot of companies also, and even the society with despondency. So the situation was not very good. But we realized two verifications in Chamber of Commerce. One, those zones, those geographical zones or countries with a major component of productive industry in their economies have resisted very good, better and at least better the crisis, the economical crisis. And the second one was that even a lot of sector has gone down in the levels. Some specific sectors have continued growing. For instance, the aeronautical sector. So we remembered that in our name, the first last name is Chamber of Commerce, but the second last name was industry. So why not to help the industrialization at our level, but the industrialization of our economy, of the civilian economy, neither the Andalusian nor Spanish economy, but at least Sevilla's economy, by helping the development of the industry. And well, 2 years after, in 2016, the results. As you can see, we have the inauguration of the new facilities of our incubator of transfer of aerospatial technology, and was inaugurated by the kings of Spain. Our kings were to our incubator to open this incubator. Well, 2 years occurs from 2014, 2016. What we did in this period of times? We did a lot of analysis, a lot of exposition, a lot of hypotheses, a lot of check-ins, but mainly we made a lot of meetings of conviction with to a great set of agents, economic agents in our community. And we made ourselves some questions. First, why in the aeronautical sector? Why not in other sectors? In Seville are also other activity sectors like agricultural, chemists, and other. Well, there were several reasons. First, Spain is only of the 10 countries in the world that has the capacity of develop the complete cycle of an airplane. From the conceptual design to the production and assembling until the delivery and the maintenance. So it's a strategical, very important sector. And also in Andalusia, we have the only 3 final assembly line of some specific airplanes. Military transport airplanes, one of medium size, that is the C-295, and one big airplane, that is the A4000M. So, was important the sector in Andalusia, and we have a very important difference against the rest of the world. And there are some figures that support this situation. In the last year, not exactly the last, in 13, we had in Andalusia 115 companies. The sales, the turnover of the sector was more than 2,000 million euros. And we have more or less 12,000 jobs linked directly with this sector. But the most important thing is that all the years of the crisis, from 2004 to this moment, the turnover and the employment was growing year by year. No one year in the crisis was a loss neither of turnover nor the employment. So was a very important from the strategical point this sector. And also that was important because it's a higher technology sector. And it's important because we have the most important company of the sector in the world, well, with Boeing, but Airbus is in Spain. Airbus Defense and Space, particularly, is in Spain, is in Andalusia, and so is a very, very strategical sector. In fact, in this moment, this year, we have more or less 14,000 people working directly in the sector, and 45,000 people are indirectly working for the sector. This year, concretely this year, 2017, has supposed for Andalusia, for Sevilla, more than 700 new employments in the city. So it seems that was important to fit in the aeronautical sector. The second question we had, well, the sector is clear, but how to work? What was possible to do to help the sector to increase? And in this sense, let's speak briefly how to grow takes place in developed countries in this century. Yesterday we spoke about ecosystems, we spoke about some things, and in this line we thought 2 words of very, very, very big importance. First, ecosystem. If there is not an ecosystem, it's almost impossible to grow in companies and to grow in employment. But second, stakeholders. Not only to have some agents of the ecosystem, but within that stakeholder is people who work together with us in develop in a cooperative way our goals. So we realized that to have a real entrepreneurship actions, to develop this culture, was important to have at least a short list, a minimal set of stakeholders. And we thought that the minimal set of stakeholders was first, companies, business. Second, financial, because money is important. Third, government and business association. Fourth, universities, knowledge, research and development. And, of course, technology, centers of technology. We made a map. I have heard about mapping the ecosystem. We made a small map and asked ourselves, do we have some of these partners in Andalusia, in Seville? And we realized that we had and have almost all this kind of stakeholders. Business. There is a cluster that maintains and contains the more or less 120 companies working in the sector in Andalusia. So we have a cluster. Second, we have government. Well, I'll speak slowly one little more about the government, because the government in our case is the Technological Aerospatial Park of Andalusia. This is a technological park, the only one specialized park in aeronautics in all Europe. There is no other aeronautical park exclusively in all Europe. And is owned by the regional government. The owner is the regional government. Are in the park more or less 80 companies, aeronautical, aerospatial companies. So, we have the government, but we have not the political part of the government. We are fitted in one specific sector, that is aerospace, so we don't need to be involved directly the regional government. But we have the technological park, and we have, in this line, the regional government. Business association, well, our Chamber of Commerce is a big association because, at least in Spain, it's mandatory for all the companies to be involved in the Chamber of Commerce. So it's a very important association. We have universities. We have several universities, at least two private universities and two more public universities. But one of them, the University of Sevilla, 5 centuries of history, has one of the oldest aeronautical engineering activity. And we have also technological agents, specifically the FADACATEC, that is an aerospatial technological center with important activities in this field, and one of the best technological centers in aeronautics in Europe. And curiously, the most of them was seated physically in the Technological Aeronautical Park of Seville. So the most important stakeholders needed not only exists, but are located in one specific place, that is the only one technological aeronautical park in all Europe. And we do not forget the money. We involve one specific commercial bank, that was the Popular Bank. And this part of stakeholders were really involved. But we also realized that it's mandatory in one minimum ecosystem to have support to entrepreneurship, in particular one business incubator. And there was no business incubator in Andalusia devoted, linked with the aeronautical sector. Well, we analyzed the situation in all Europe. And we realized that there was not one incubator linked with the aeronautical sector, neither in Andalusia, in Spain, nor all Europe. So our question was, why? Will it be possible to maintain an incubator exclusively devoted, linked with the aeronautical sector? And we asked this question to a set of people, and no one gave us a credible answer. So they don't know. Well, we said it's important in this sense to analyze really the possibility to do. And these agents said, yes, maybe important to make a pilot project in order to know if this was possible or not. So the third question was, and who can develop this project? The rest of agents has his own goals in this specific project, and we said, well, our Chamber of Commerce of Seville in different ways has 5 centuries of history helping the companies from the 15th, 16th century until now. And our chamber, as Chamber of Commerce, has 125 years of history helping people, helping small companies, basically. And even more, we have other experience in other kind of incubators. We have a general purpose incubator in Seville, in the Chamber of Commerce. And the network of chambers of commerce of Spain have more or less 80 incubators in all the territory. Usually small incubators in big cities, for instance, Madrid or Barcelona, of course, but even in small cities like Linares or like Ayamonte, small cities of no more than 10,000 people living. So we had experience in this kind of activity, in business incubation. But this incubator was designed with specific characteristics. First, we wanted an industrial incubator. So the facilities you can see in the picture are industrial facilities. Of course, we have also some companies linked with services, engineering, and so on, linked with the aeronautical sector. But our main purpose, our main goal, is to develop industrial activities. Second, industrial activities specifically linked with the aerospatial sector. So we do not give support to companies that operate in other sector than the aerospatial sector. And we have, as you can see, one facility of 1,400 more or less square meter, 600-700 of them industrial matters, and in the technological aerospatial park of Andalusia. So we are located in the same place that the rest of the companies of the sector. And we have developed industrial equipment linked with the capability to build, to manufacture specific products. And in this line, 2 aspects to highlight. First, the value chain and the supply chain of the aeronautical sector is very vertical. Our companies don't have neither thousand nor million of customers. Has a specific, a short customer possibility, because from the OEMs, the builders of the bigger planes, until the last supplier are vertically integrated. Second, it's difficult to enter in this supply chain. And it's difficult, first, because there is a long period to develop things. Second, there is mandatory to have material prototypes to send to these companies in order to certify. And third, it's important to certify these products. This is not a product that can be sold in someone place without any problem of certification. We need to certificate. So, our main goal in our equipment is to have the capability, to give the companies the capability to build the prototypes and to help them in order to be certified and to be incorporated into the supply chain and the value chain of the sector. So we are industrial, we are aerospatial, but we help the companies not to go to the market in the first moment, but to build prototypes in order to present, to certify these prototypes to the supply chain and help them to be involved in this supply chain. For this time, our investment is more or less 1.6 million euros, and the 80% has been financed by the European Regional Development Fund. So we, the Chamber of Commerce, has supported only the 20% of this amount. And this is the actual situation of our project in the facilities aspect. Well, we are, as we can see perfectly, different to other incubators. And our value proposal are not specifically linked with the companies. Why? Because although we give support, we give facilities, we give them offices or so on, it's impossible for one aeronautical company to be in our incubator for a long time. Why? Because not only the products can be certified to sell, but even the process and the facilities must be certified. So we cannot maintain these companies in our facilities. We need to help them to quickly have the prototype, to quickly certify this prototype, and build their own facilities in order to produce. So our customers, our clients, are not only the companies, but other agents. And our value proposal is directed to the universities to help put spin-offs in order to obtain results, economical results of the research and development. Of course, we help startups. We help also in soft landing to other companies, because the situation of the final assembly line is a very good point for other companies of other places to go to our facilities. And of course, we want to help the public sector, mainly in order to the capacity to go to the final recipients. Is very difficult sometimes for our regional government to be credible against the small and very small companies. They don't have the credibility. And in this line, our incubator very linked with the public sector, helps this public sector to give the information to the small companies and very small companies they need it. And of course, we have a portfolio of services. That is let's say the usual portfolio of services. But I want to highlight that although we give this portfolio of services, our difference is not this one. Our difference is we help the companies to make prototypes, to certify prototypes, and to incorporate them to the value chain and the supply chain of the big companies of the aeronautical service. And in this line, we have a specific strategic in the design of our company. I must to say that the strategic plan that was designed between 14 and 16 was analyzed, was debated, was worked with the partners, we are going to say it, where are and who are. So this is not a strategic plan. This is not a strategic focus of the Chamber of Commerce de Seville. It's the focus of all the partners of the stakeholders involved in this specific project. And the four basic strategic points was specialization. We have spoke a lot about this in the aeronautical aerospatial sector. Second, low investment. And when I say low investment, say not only best investment in equipment, but also in people. In people. We think that, and this is the last point, we need to be self-financing. And so, for this is important to have a low investment even in people. How can be this situation linked with the needs of give technical experience, technical assessment, and other activities in this line? Well, unfortunately, we have two specific possibilities or capabilities. One, we, the incubator, are not alone. We are involved in the Chamber of Commerce of Seville. So, in aspects like management, like economics, finance, and so on, we have a lot of specialists that can help us in this line. But for the technical aspects, we count with the third point, collaboration with a set of people specialized in each one of these specific lines. And we have not mentors. We have deep agreements with sub-specific parts in order to give not only assistance, but even strategical and technical support in our needs in these specific aspects. For instance, we have agreements with the University of Seville and with some companies in the sector to use his machinery for our startups in order to build the prototypes. So we don't need to have all the machinery needed. We have only one specific part of the machinery. But if we need some additional machinery, we have agreements with companies that are involved in order to give the possibility to our startup to have the opportunity to use them to build. With the technological center, exactly the same. Our companies can use without cost all the equipment of this technological center in order to have the possibility to build their prototypes. So we have not a very important amount of money of investment of technical and technological equipment, but with the agreements of collaboration with a set of partners, You have the capability to give our startups the possibility to use them either for free or at less fees than the usuals in the market. Yes? Okay, there's no problem.
Then in the end, I think it would be interesting to have the Q&A in the end.
Okay.
So,
Well, 3 minutes, only 3 minutes. These are our partners. And these are our partners, and with all of them, signed an agreement, document agreement of collaboration in order to develop the incubation. So Airbus is involved. Aeropolis, the park, the technological park, is involved. Banco Popular is involved, our Chamber of Commerce. The cluster of the companies, the Foundation Fadacatec, and the University of Seville. And each one of them has agreed what are exactly the contribution to this specific project. So this is like our steering committee. And for this, we have a document that specifies what are the composition of this committee, what are the duties, what and how it went at the meetings, how to operate, what is the information they receive, and of course they give all these things for free. And finally, one brief aspect of our figures. We have in this moment 6 industrial companies working in our incubator. We are other 4 companies that are designing his strategic plan in order to do that. So we have 10 companies. We know that this is a small project, and we know that these figures are not impressive against the figures you have presented. But we can think that is very important for us, at least strategically. And only I used to say a joke in this line. That is, Sevilla has 100 of years of experience in the aerospatial sector. We have more or less 120 companies. We are in operation only for more or less 1 year, and we have 10 projects. So, more or less 8-9% of all the sector. Yes, I know this is a joke, because the rest of the companies are big, in jobs are big, and in revenues and so on. But if in 100 years, 120 companies have been built, and we, in less than 1 year, have 10 companies working, we think that is at least a not bad job. And that is all. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have 4 minutes until lunchtime, but I think we can extend a bit more, like 10 minutes, so 15 minutes for Q&A if you agree. So, questions? Any questions? Yeah? Okay.
Yes, I'm happy to announce that there's also an incubation program now running in Flanders for space technology. So I just started this, there's now just a call launched, so maybe we can talk afterwards to see if there are synergies. But it's a partnership with IMIC, the Research Institute, Verhaert, you know Verhaert?
No.
No, okay, and Vito. So, but
Okay.
so we can talk afterwards.
Anyone? So you mentioned both of the examples mentioned technological parks. Maybe it's just me that I'm ignorant and not so into the topic, but what I realized from the talks from yesterday is that the technological parks are a fail. And maybe since you are regions, maybe you are talking about this because I'm trying to identify the pattern. So you said that most of these activities are performed inside tech parks. is it being a success? Is it more difficult? Is it because you are regions? What's the difference between, because I had the feeling that yesterday a lot of people mentioned that technological parts are kind of an experiment or a failed experiment. I can be totally wrong, and that's okay.
Ieri ha sentito parlare che i parchi tecnologici sono stati un fallimento, no? Ma nel vostro caso è stato un successo? È perché la regione...
Non c'è una valutazione assoluta dell'esperienza, positiva o negativa. L'esperienza del collega è un'esperienza che noi non abbiamo, perché qui c'è una grande impresa, un grosso cluster tecnologico, in cui con l'amicizia è molto più semplice perché c'è una domanda forte, potente, orientata di una grande impresa nello sviluppo di spin-off universitari, start-up che sviluppano parti del progetto. Ed è indubbiamente positiva perché il partenariato è un incubatore che nasce su domanda di una grande impresa. Dal mio punto di vista, bisogna superare l'esperienza dei piccoli incubatori o dei piccoli luoghi in cui si chiamano incubatori ma non sono incubatori. Questo è il primo punto. Il secondo è bisogna incominciare a distinguere. Qui si parla di incubatori urbani, ma attenzione, noi abbiamo esperienza di 2 piccoli incubatori politecnologici, laboratori di alta tecnologia, localizzati in zone rurali e che stanno avendo un buon successo. Però sono specializzati. Ecco, questa è l'altra lezione che forse dovremmo apprendere, specializzare gli incubatori. Perché un incubatore generalista è un'area industriale attrezzata alla fine, una moderna, è un poligono industriale postmoderno, direbbero gli amici, cioè chiunque può andare, prima c'era quindi è diverso. Allora l'incubatore è valore aggiunto, fallimento di mercato e punta avanzata di un'esperienza di politica industriale. Gli altri sono poligoni industriali. O area industriale, in spagnolo.
I try to synthesize just a little bit. There is not absolute evaluation in the cases of technological parks concerning your question. Of course, we don't have the experience of Andalusia, where there is a big company like Airbus, which pulls all the other companies, all the sector. But we have to go beyond the experience of the small incubator or of the small places where the incubators are located. Here you are talking about urban incubators, but we have also the experience of rural incubators in Tuscany. And so I think that there is the theme is the specialization of incubators. Each incubator have to be specialized and not to provide general services. As also incubators, Albino was saying, are the advanced, let's say, point of a industrial policy.
Yeah. Our experience is very specific, very different. Why? First, because we have an experience of 100 of years of one specific sector of activity that is aerospace, and even the technological park was built after the presence of the big company. So our goal is to be an agent of change in order to develop the possibilities of this specific sector based on the needs of one big company. Second, the goal of the Chamber of Commerce is not to design a entrepreneurship system, an ecosystem of entrepreneurship, but to have a benefit of the possibilities and the capacities of the university, the knowledge and the research and development of the centers. Let's say one advanced transfer of technology office. So for us, the incubator is not a goal, but is only a way of action. And in this line, we think that this experience only can be used in places in which the conditions are similar. For instance, if in one zone there is a big company with a more or less integrated and vertically integrated supply chain, and the capability of knowledge and research in the surrounding of this in this aspect, one incubator, one advanced technological incubator can be an agent of change in order to have to use the capabilities of the community. But it's not a new way to solve the ecosystem of entrepreneurship of one region.
I would say yes. I understand your point of view. It's very understandable about there is a feeling that the technology part has been a failure. Yeah, perceptions. Yeah, it's good. Because there is a lot of people who have that perception, and many of us, we have that perception. But I think it's not has been a failure. I think the failure has been the use of the name. There are many private companies who start selling real estate or industrial real estate, and they name it Technology Park. And there are nothing real technology there. There is nothing. It's the wrong use of the name. And so they have covered all around Europe with all these technological parks. There are not really technological parks in some way. They say it too.
So it's a brand appropriation.
Yeah, really.
In some way.
Actually,
That's part of the
Okay. For Albino, any more questions? I don't want to monopolize. Okay, so but if I will try, I'll make another question to Albino. And it's also about perceptions, which is like, doesn't the fact that the state owns all of the spaces or all of those spaces, like physical spaces, which is something that it's really tangible, we can imagine a physical space, doesn't get that blocks the perception of openness to other companies? Like, I don't know if this is too abstract. Like, if you own all of the physical spaces where incubation and where these startups develop, doesn't this is a sense of blockage from the private companies into approaching the startups who are inside your spaces?
Il fatto cioè, l'infrastruttura sia una cosa di pubblici non è che impedisce cioè, oppure dà una percezione sbagliata del fatto che
You could just say no.
Sì. Nella Silicon Valley sono nati nei garage. Diciamo, il modello tradizionale, storico, degli incubatori aveva nella componente fisica l'elemento di partenza. Oggi non è più così, perché a un imprenditore finanziario che investe in una startup, che l'impresa sia in un garage, sia a casa dell'amico o sia a casa sua, è indifferente, quel che conta è la società. Secondo, rispetto a quello che diceva il collega, si sta modificando il modo in cui anche le grandi imprese sviluppano i propri prodotti. In Toscana, ma credo in tutta Europa, non è un tema toscano, grandi imprese utilizzano la rete di fornitura, il supply chain, non per la produzione ma per lo sviluppo di componenti. Quindi facciamo un nome che è in concorrenza, Avio, che fa nel settore aerospaziale, ha sede a Torino, ma costruisce dei buyer, come nei distretti industriali della moda, dei buyer che intermediano lo sviluppo di componenti che a loro volta distribuiscono lo sviluppo in piccole microimprese sul territorio. Quindi non esiste l'ufficio studi, il centro ricerche di Avio, ma esiste un sistema reticolare territoriale in cui componenti, lo sviluppo di piccole componenti viene distribuito e intermediato. A questo punto lo spazio diventa l'ultimo elemento. La distanza che c'è fra l'operatore privato e il pubblico, purtroppo lo devo dire, è che l'operatore privato ha come priorità il ricavo, quindi mercato. Noi abbiamo ancora una giustificazione che è il fallimento di mercato, cioè elevare il numero delle imprese che diventano imprese e creano occupazione. Se anche non fanno ricavi nei primi 3 anni, a noi va bene, perché comunque creano occupazione. Quindi attenzione a questo tema di mercato. Il mix giustifica il fatto che noi dobbiamo incrementare il numero delle imprese e di occupati, altrimenti non sarebbe una politica pubblica. Scusa.
Okay, yeah, I'll try again to the time. The traditional model of incubation had in the infrastructure its starting point, but for who wants to fund the startups or the enterprises, this is not important. It is indifferent where a startup is located. Albino was mentioning the case of Avio, which is aerospace company, as to say that the big enterprises use the supply chain for the development of the components of the components of small dimensions. Like in the fashion, like buyers in the fashion sector, no? You have a district, like a cluster, no? And in this case, the space is the last element in order of importance for an investor. Of course, the private investor has as a priority the revenues, no? But the public sector has to accompany the startups until at least the first 3 years, and there is a mix between the two that justifies the cooperation between the public and the private. It's a mix between the two elements.
So, one or two final questions. The first one is, you guys are hungry, right? Everyone is hungry. You talked, Antonio, you mentioned deeply commitment from all of the partners, the project. Which actions, like specific actions, do you do in order to get these people sitting together, taking decisions? Because it's a lot of people, it's a lot of stakeholders. Like, how do you manage to get these people, signing a document and meeting to discuss, this project?
Yeah. We have one strategic committee and one technical committee. The strategical committee has at least 2 meetings yearly. And in these 2 meetings, the second one, usually in November, the manager of the incubator presents the gestion plan, the annual plan of the year, and propose specific actions for each one of the partners. The plan and the action of the partners must be approved, and then the partners has the commitment of do these specific actions. Actions in what kind of actions? Well, one of them are financials, fellowships and grants for companies to receive the uses of the incubator. some of them are uses of resources. The companies needs to build some specific prototypes, and then gives the need that either the university or the technological centers or the companies involved needs to give the possibility to use the machinery or so on in this specific aspect. And other one is to analyze and define what is the strategic position of the incubator in all the sector, because the sector is moving, the needs of the big company Airbus is moving, and also the needs of the regional government is moving. So we need to change our position strategically in order to take advantage of this modification, and this steering committee give the opportunities and give the. And we also have a technological committee that analyze the evolution of the planning of each one of the projects involved in the incubator, and also gives the selections of the product or the project that can be involved in them. This is composed only for the technical partners. In this aspect, neither the technological park nor the Banco Popular or the and 3 times a year has the meeting.
Posso? Stiamo studiando un modo di fare incubazione non fisica sul modello supply chain, nel senso che vi sono grandi medie imprese che hanno interesse a individuare giovani imprese per far sviluppare. Quindi la regione, una funzione pubblica, può fare matching fra imprese, avere banche dati e qualificare la stessa cosa che fa lui, cioè individuare delle imprese che fanno da tutor, perché una startup, più che di soldi di capitale di partenza, ha bisogno di mercato, di fatturato. Quindi noi possiamo incentivare il matching fra un'impresa committente e un'impresa di fornitura giovane, incentivando lo sviluppo della piccola e indirettamente incentivando la grande. È un progetto che Confindustria ha lanciato anni fa, ma è scomparso, avete fatto un paio di cose. Però è estremamente interessante perché è il modello, che è un modello reticolare. E qual è la funzione pubblica? Un privato non lo fa mai, perché il buyer ha un costo. Noi possiamo farlo perché incentiviamo la crescita e vi sono alcune esperienze in cui possiamo farle. Bisogna individuare l'impresa madre, tutor, e la piccola, lo startup. Questo è il lavoro che fa lui, avendo una committenza forte. Noi possiamo andare a cercare la committenza, e ce ne sono molte, per cercare di creare una supply chain regionale, per fare un ancoraggio di. Questo è un meccanismo che non è complicato, però ci vuole l'intermediario, il moderatore. Antonio. Pensavo che me lo voleva dare lui, noi ingaggiavamo.
But perhaps you have, most of you have understood. We are studying a new way to make business incubation not based on the physical structures, but on the model that Antonio was mentioning, on the model of supply chain. And the public bodies, like the region, can make the matching between the enterprises, identifying one or more enterprises that act as tutors, and then putting them in contact with the startups. And the startups, they don't need, at the beginning, they don't need money. It's better to offer them a market better than money, no? So we can, in this way, create a regional supply chain by matching tutor enterprises and startups.
Well, only 2 things. One of the roles of the companies. One of the roles of the companies in the cluster in the cluster, mainly the medium and big companies, is to give the startup letters of intention of buy if the project goes well. So this helps a lot in order to obtain financing from the commercial bank and so on in our sector. And these companies has also the priority in order to invest capital or even buy these small companies if the small companies want to be financed or sold. Not only priority. If no one of them wants to enter, this is open.
Okay. So one final question, and since we are really, really close to the Praça do Município, which where everything happens here in Lisbon, like if you were there, if you owned that, if you were the president of Lisbon, what would you do? Just to close, just a simple question. What would you change? What would you do to the city? If you were the mayor of Lisbon, if you were living right next to this square, what would you do? Just as some inspiration before lunch. Do your best now.
I don't know. Unfortunately, I am not the mayor of Lisbon.
I will make this Italy, or Spain.
Recupererei questi splendidi palazzi per immetterci tante imprese, per non trasformare anche Lisbona in un centro per turisti, perché la presenza di imprese in questi luoghi è spettacolare. Perché bisogna fare l'incubatore solamente nelle aree industriali? Gli incubatori urbani danno vita alla città, è una forma di rigenerazione urbana potentissima, altrimenti la sera, come succede in molte città, non facciamo nomi, si chiudono i ristoranti, e la città muore. Tante imprese anche commerciali, anche perché io da 20 anni mi occupo di creare occupazione, che sia un ristorante, che sia una startup innovativa, l'importante è creare reddito e occupazione. Io lo farei perché avete tanti monumenti, tanti palazzi che potrebbero essere destinati a incubatori urbani, incubatori di imprese creative. Potete fare quel che volete. Non residenziale, ecco.
I would recover all these beautiful places and to install their companies to arrange urban incubators that are a wonderful, a powerful instrument for urban regeneration. So the city can be brand, can live, and even during, after a certain hour, there is still people enjoying the city, and it can be also good for creative and cultural industries.
Digli se sono ancora in tempo a candidarmi.
You are still in time to candidate Albino as the mayor, right?
Still a few weeks, I think.
We have it.
Antonio, if you were Fernando Medina, what would you do?
I agree completely with this position, because from our thought, our goal in problem is to have a very good level of employment with a good quality of employment. So the most important things is to have the possibility for the people to work in the place they want, in a job that they want. So I agree that the cities that has specific capabilities in order to develop some sectors, like for instance tourism or so on, must develop this capability, building urban incubators based in innovation, I think, because this is the force that gives the possibility to solve problems also in the future. I think that the technological incubators or the industrial incubators only are necessary either if there are a company that needs this aspect, for instance Airbus, or if we want to compete in the higher higher group of cities that wants to be in the top of the incubation. But if this is not the situation, the urban incubators and the specifically urban linked with innovation is a very good activity.
So we're going to have lunch and then the safari in the afternoon. I don't know, Margarida, if you want to add something?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, everyone, to come to Lisbon and to discuss these very interesting and important issues about economy, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And, well, thank you very much for your presence. After lunch, we have a study visit to Startup Lisboa and another space, Enter. And if you want to go, if you please, you stay here about 2 and 45 minutes, please. Then it's a 5 minutes walk, and then we go together to Startup Lisboa. We will send you some conclusions about that questions that Rui asked you yesterday about what stakeholders could be in the mapping of entrepreneurship and what is the importance of each one. That we going to send us a small map about our opinion of all of us. And well, stay in Lisbon, come back, and please, thank you. Thank you.